Hold on to your subway tokens, New York. Your brand new mayor, Zohran Mamdani, less than 24 hours after the confetti hit the floor, has already got his hands out, begging for cash to fund his transition team. Translation, you foot the bill while he rides the victory wave. So congratulations, New York City. You just got Oprah'd into bankruptcy. You get free buses, you get free childcare, you get free everything until the invoice lands on your doormat with a side of property tax hikes. But wait, there's more. Mamdani is not the one in power. We are getting a secret look at one of the groups who has heavy influence over Mamdani, and their opening demand for the mayor-elect? Erase every trace of Israeli influence from the Big Apple. Wait until you see this list. Plus, a Charlie Kirk video has resurfaced showing Kirk exposing Mamdani for pulling a Trump-style power move. This one caught my attention. I wanted to share it with you. And Trump, he roasts Nancy Pelosi as the news breaks today of her retirement. Nobody does parting words quite like 45. Hit the like button if you're popping champagne over Pelosi's pearl-clutching exit, and subscribe so you never miss the chaos. Now, before we dive in, quick heads up on the chaos that is coming to your air travel, courtesy of the government shutdown. The FAA just announced major flight cuts starting tomorrow on Friday. So if your travel plans were already a little bit of a mess, congratulations, they just got even messier.
Breaking today, your air travel nightmares about to get a lot worse. Chaos now rocking our aviation system as the FAA prepares to slash thousands of flights at major airports nationwide. That has air traffic controllers and pilots furious with how things are going in Congress. Listen here.
There is a righteous and noble political fight happening, but it does not need to be in my cockpit. There are things happening today that will impact the Thanksgiving holiday staffing as far as pilots go. We're traveling at near the speed of sound, and the government right now is working at near the speed of molasses.
So here's the deal. The FAA is slicing 10% of flights at 40 U.S. airports. This kicks off again tomorrow on Friday with a 4% cut. Then each day we creep up with a 1% addition to those cuts until we hit 10%. Flights today, already feeling the sting. So if you're flying or picking somebody up, call your airlines first. Don't just show up and hope for the best. Fingers crossed this mess clears before Thanksgiving. At this rate, your turkey might be delayed too. I will have a little bit more on the shutdown later in the show. Now to our top story. New York, brace yourself. The Socialist, who promised you free buses, rent freezes, government-run grocery stores, free childcare, just hit the brakes on his entire free stuff fantasy within hours of being declared mayor. Zohran Mamdani went from power to the people to please Venmo me in record time.
Good morning, New York City, and thank you. Last night we made history, and today we begin the work of making a new administration. Oh, and one more thing. Remember how I told you a few months ago to stop sending us money? You can start again. This transition requires staff, research, and an infrastructure that can meet this moment. And it will be made possible by the people who built and believe in this movement. So I hope you'll make a donation at transition2025.com. Now let's get to work.
If he thinks funding a transition team is tough, wait until he gets the invoice for the campaign promises. I mean, reality just hit New York like a pothole. And maybe that's what happens when you grow up thinking mom and dad's credit card is the magic money tree. You just assume the taxpayers have one too. And his supporters? Equally clueless. They think they'll all live off the rich, as if the rich are just going to hang around while City Hall shakes them down like an ATM.
So if you tax the rich to oblivion, what happens when the rich leave the city? Who's to tax then?
They won't leave the city.
Why not? They've already done it in California.
Because in New York State, we have Wall Street, they're not leaving. And so what
You think they can't leave? Then who are you going to tax when they leave?
We're just going to continue taxing people, but your
Oh, the middle class, right?
Yes, actually, the middle class.
Oh, okay, so you explained it. So we're going to tax the middle class when the rich people leave after you tax them.
I think we should tax the out of everybody, yes. I think the middle class should be taxed 50% like it does in Sweden.
So what these so-called progressives are really saying is, let's all live at the same level, no matter how hard we work. Mediocrity for everybody. Because apparently success is offensive now. And socialism isn't the only thing Americans should be paying attention to. Because while everybody's busy arguing on X and TikTok, political operatives are quietly organizing, building networks, stacking local boards, and making sure their ideology seeps into every level of our government.
Let's work towards a Muslim mayor. Next election that comes in, nominate people for the school board of education. Next election that comes here, nominate people for the local township. Muslim household average is 3.4 child per family. The white American has 1 child per family. We're already beating the march because these are voters. These are not just babies being born in hospitals. These are voters. That's the way a politician looks at it. We have to change the framework and start looking at things from a different lens.
See what's happening here? This isn't just about winning one election. It's about building long-term influence, reshaping policy from the ground up, and changing how communities think. It's a slow drip of activism that is disguised as representation. And now activists, they're encouraging you not just to join the fight, but to become one of them.
All right, y'all, the Islamic Caliphate in New York starts now. That means we are all converting to Islam. I've already got one friend converted tonight. So the lines to begin conversion will begin tomorrow morning, bright and early, 8 a.m. There will be mosques being built on every single block. But in the meantime, start outside my door. I am happy to help you convert, happy to be there on your journey. If you'd rather do it with somebody else, totally understand. You have to be safe, you have to be comfortable. But I'm so glad to have you, my brothers, my sisters, my siblings, on this journey.
Wild, right? And the plan was already in the works prior to the election. Believe me, on October 3rd in the Bronx, a gentleman went to pick up his kids from school and stumbled upon this large group of Muslims praying on the sidewalk. He said in his 30 years of living there, he had never seen anything like it. This is what they want every street in America to eventually look like. Videos like this should be part of the Republicans' 2026 midterm ads. And as far as Mamdani's socialist agenda, it doesn't stop at free buses and grocery stores. A Just the News investigative reporter got inside a recent meeting of the Democratic Socialist of America group in New York. This is a group that Mamdani was a part of before trying to quietly distance himself. But apparently, this group has a strong grip on Mamdani, and they're said to have influence over his policies. Here's the reporter's colleague, John Solomon, explaining what went down at that meeting.
They are going to force the city of New York to divest from anything that is Jewish. They're going to stop the New York Police Department from training and getting certain capabilities that they don't like. They're going to regulate land sales. You may not be able to sell your piece of land in the future to who you want if the mayor doesn't like that. And then there's a lot of other agendas that are all in there. The purpose of this meeting was to make sure that the group that helped elect Mamdani in the primary and last night will have a seat at the table and will pressure Mamdani until he delivers what he told them privately he would deliver. The wish list looks like something from a Soviet republic, not something from an American capitalist city like New York City.
And that's putting it mildly. Now here's just the first page of the meeting notes, a laundry list of anti-Israel policies. They want to pull city funds from banks that lend to Israel. They want to end city contracts with companies doing business again, with Israel, and they want to make grocery stores free of Israeli products. They even want to arrest Netanyahu. And that's just page one. This is the mindset shaping the new mayor's policies. Now, like you, I've struggled to understand why anybody would support this. But then I stumbled across a clip of Charlie Kirk breaking down Mamdani's movement. He says, at its core, it's not all that different from Trump's rise. Watch this.
One of the reasons he was able to win younger voters and younger men, especially in big numbers, is that they were trying to get their leaders' attention. They said, hey, this guy, Donald Trump, he is pledging to go fix our economic anxiety. He is loud. He is going to get your attention. Donald Trump was a distress signal by a lot of young people, especially young men, that were stuck in a credit-centric renter economy. And again, this is what is the rise of Mamdani. It's just another iteration of this, only from the left.
Put that way, and it makes perfect sense. I mean, Mamdani and Trump may be light years apart on policy, but when you strip it down to why people are drawn to them, there are striking similarities. Now, one thing Republicans and Democrats do handle very differently is responding to inappropriate behavior. Yesterday, I told you about Virginians who elected a Democrat AG candidate despite those disgusting text messages wishing death on his political opponent. But then James Carville decided to flex his moral bankruptcy with this gem.
We won the Attorney General's race. I'm personally going to find a convicted pedophile and run him in a race just to see if he could beat a Republican. I'm not sure. I'm not going to say they're convicted pedophile could win. And by the way, the guy that was running against him ran a pretty good campaign and ran ads. And I mean, it just the most interesting thing. Okay, drum roll. I'm gonna give you all the most interesting piece of news of this cycle. Even more interesting in Bucks County, the Republican legislator who released the text lost. in J1. Yeah, I mean, just a little tidbit. Hey, you got some baggage out there with Trump people. Just know that.
If he's willing to settle for someone not convicted, his own party is full of options. Bill Clinton immediately comes to mind for me. I mean, these people have zero moral compass and no boundaries. Now, some news from the left that actually deserves a cheer. Nancy Pelosi's officially retiring 40 years late, but hey, better now than never.
We start with the major political news. One of the most powerful figures in Washington over the last 4 decades is ready to head home to San Francisco. Nancy Pelosi, the nation's first female House whip, minority leader, and House Speaker, says she's not going to seek re-election. She put out a highly produced video along with her announcement, serving as a love letter to San Francisco. She announced her decision to retire and said this.
With a grateful heart, I look forward to my final year of service as your proud representative. As we go forward, my message to the city I love is this. San Francisco, know your power. We have made history. We have made progress. We have always led the way.
And she conveniently left out the part where her pocketbook also made history thanks to some very impressive insider trading. Marjorie Taylor Greene, she had a few words about Pelosi's retirement on CNN this morning. Watch this.
My reaction is I believe in term limits, and I've co-sponsored that bill. And it's been decades now that I believe we have seen the failure in Washington, D.C. However, I will praise Nancy Pelosi. She had an incredible career for her party. I served under her speakership in my first term of Congress, and I'm very impressed at her ability to get things done. I wish we could get things done for our party like Nancy Pelosi was able to deliver for her party. So I wish her well in her retirement. But I would like to see people exit Washington a lot sooner rather than wait until they're 80.
Now, President Trump, not so eloquent with his words. Here's what he had to say.
I think she did the country a great service by retiring. I think she was a tremendous liability for the country.
And on Dick Cheney.
I thought she was an evil woman who did a poor job, who cost the country a lot in damages and in reputation. I thought she was terrible. Thank you very much.
You can always count on Trump to tell it like it is. Refreshingly blunt, politically correct be damned. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene, on the other hand, she seemed almost calm and professional this morning. It was like watching someone audition for, I don't know, a higher office. Just throwing it out there. Here she is on the government shutdown.
You know, I was telling my staff on the way here, I said, I voted to fund the government on September 18th. And here we are today is November 6th. And the House has not been in session since then. And I truly believe that's an utter failure. And you can't expect people to show up and be passionate about voting for you when you're not even going to work and they're going to work every single day and struggling to pay their bills.
She's not wrong. House Republicans should be showing up every day, shutdown or not. I mean, these optics aren't great. But I will say this, most Americans, I think, do know who's actually responsible here, and it's the Democrats. Now, with that said, the president is floating the idea of breaking the filibuster. And Greene, she agrees with him.
But I did speak to him some time ago about using the nuclear option and overriding the filibuster. And I told him, I said, Mr. President, this is the only way you're going to get your agenda across. And I called for it, I think it was early October. I actually started calling, saying that, you know, Democrats should vote to fund the government, but Republicans are equally responsible. And if they're serious about funding the government, they should use the nuclear option and override the filibuster to get it done. And so I'm very pleased to see President Trump saying the same thing I'm seeing.
So President Trump, he was asked about the shutdown this morning as well, and he too pivoted to nuking the filibuster.
I think it's time for them to end the filibuster and just put everybody back to work. Vote in voter ID, vote in no mail-in voting except for military, faraway military, and people that are very sick. I'd like to see one-day voting. I'd like to see not 65 days of voting from all over the place. No, I'd like to clean up the elections. The border, we've done a great job. We have a great, strong border now, but I'd like to see new rules on immigration that can be fair and good, you know, but rules that you'll never get, rules that they're never going to get. There's so many things we could put in including tax cuts that we could get, and we could do it all ourselves. But to do that, you have to end the filibuster.
The comical part in all this? Democrats threatened to do this under Joe Biden, you probably remember. And now suddenly, it's a slippery slope when the idea comes up again. See, ending the filibuster, it would let them pack the courts. They're going to rewrite election laws and even add D.C. and Puerto Rico as 2 blue states, which, hello, 4 extra senators for them. Now, Trump points out the only reason they haven't already done it is because Manchin and Sinema got in their way. And yet now, the same Democrats are warning that ending the filibuster is somehow dangerous. Hypocrisy has a new poster child, and his name is Bernie Sanders.
The Republicans understand that the filibuster is an important part of what the Senate is. Well, I think right now we should maintain the filibuster.
Well, let's be clear. This enormously important bill, a bill to protect the foundations of American democracy, will fail. Rules get changed around here all of the time. And maybe, just maybe, we might want to change the rules in order to save American democracy.
This is exactly why Americans are fed up with Washington. You're either for something or you're against it, but you can't flip-flop depending on who's in power. Take it from Donald Trump. Like what he says or not, America respects him for at least being honest. Now, another surprise from Marjorie Taylor Greene. She criticized her own party for not putting America first, pointing at Congress and presidential advisors. Take a look.
Keeping him on nonstop tours around the world and nonstop meetings with foreign countries' leaders is not America first. It's just not. I think domestic policy should be the most important issue that the president and the Republican-controlled House and Senate are working on, and that showed up in the election on Tuesday.
She's right. Republicans need to do more on messaging and highlighting economic issues. You can't turn the economy around overnight. We all know that, right? Your checkbook, it takes months to get back on track. But you can show voters you see their struggles and you're working to make life more affordable. Ignore what Americans feel, just like the Democrats did with inflation last time, and Republicans risk a midterm shellacking. The ball, I feel, is in the Republicans' court. 2026 is theirs to win if they can play it smart. Now up next, I walk you through the different races we just watched play out on Tuesday and explain why this is not a referendum on Republicans, like Democrats want to tell you. If anything, I'm going to show you how it's actually going to benefit them in the midterms. Go ahead, click on that video you see now on your screen, and I'll see you over there. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.